The Project. Kuwait. Learn. Live.
In today's episode, we're actually sitting down with Kuwait's fit mom, Haya Al Sharhan, who is a CrossFitter, an amazing mother, and she has battled a lot of adversity over the last few years, coming back and getting back into the game of CrossFit.
Yeah. Haya was the first female, Kuwaiti female, to participate in the Reebok CrossFit Asia Regionals. So she's been a lot of firsts. So first for that, 2 cesarean births, emergency C-sections. And she's come back and she's competed in the battle, after that. And now she's the first female in Kuwait to really start pushing pregnancy and postpartum health and fitness concepts. So she's been the first Kuwaiti female to do a lot for the health and fitness community.
Mainly a strong Kuwaiti female. I think that's the most amazing part, is a strong Kuwaiti female that's not afraid to lift.
Yeah, so she's basically just breaking down a lot of barriers for Kuwaiti females in general, not just mums as well. But she's got a MomFit program, which we'll find out a little bit more about in today's episode as well. And as you said, just talking about pre and postnatal training, which actually is a hugely important topic here for Kuwaiti females.
Yeah, I think even if you're not a female, from the male perspective, I think there's a lot to be learned. You guys, did you learn something?
Without a doubt.
We sat back and learned a lot, to be honest.
So if you have a female in your life, this episode is still for you.
All this and more in today's episode.
Welcome to the project.
Hello.
Amazing.
Hi.
Today we have my ultimate guest. This is probably the best interview I've ever done in my entire life, and probably will be definitely in the top 10 for the rest of my life. A role model to the entire Kuwaiti community, in my opinion. Such a strong message. And we're welcoming Haya Sharhan today to the project. And I mean, I'm just totally fangirling, as everyone would like to say over here, because you're such a role model to the community, and what you do is just unbelievable. And your drive, especially when it came to the Battle of the East and the message you sent out to everybody, hey, I'm coming back and I'm working really hard, and you documented it all. I mean, it was amazing to see. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You're too kind, honestly. You're going to make me freeze up and not be able to talk. That was a lot. Thank you. I'm really excited to be on the podcast. Am I your first guest?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Second.
Cool.
Third. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
third.
Yeah, but our first female. So
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
For those maybe not familiar, do you want to talk about just a little bit of what Mahdi is talking about, that comeback and kind of, the process of where you started and where you're at now?
Sorry,
Sure.
I'm still being a super fan over here. So I was nervous. I didn't know what to say.
Do you want me to go way back or just the recent battle?
Go way back. Start from the beginning. That's what I want to hear. The story. I want to hear the story
Your
of
first grade teacher.
the fittest CrossFit mom in Kuwait.
It's not just Mahdi, though. Everyone wants to hear the story.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, I didn't grow up in fitness. I didn't even, exercise growing up. And my sister is an artist. My mom is an artist. So I wasn't passionate about anything. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just went through the same. I was not an artist, but, I appreciated art. So I went to university and I graduated with an art history degree. And I enjoyed it. I came back to Kuwait, worked at Dar al-Islamiyya for a couple of years, developing, educational programs and working with the curators. And then, I was, home watching TV, and then there was a CrossFit competition in Dubai. And this was early 2012. And I was shocked. There was one Emirati girl. She was wearing a hijab. At the time, I didn't wear the hijab. I wore the hijab later on. But she's this tiny, petite little girl lifting heavy weights. Her name's Amna al-Haddad. And I was just in awe. I've never seen girls working out like that, other than maybe, the Olympics. I wasn't into sports or anything. So I was waiting for them to say what the competition was. And then I heard CrossFit. So I Googled that. Googled CrossFit in Kuwait. Nothing came up. So I, forgot about it for a while. I went back a couple of weeks later. It was still in my mind. So I Googled again, CrossFit in Kuwait. And you know how when you Google, sometimes you'll get like blog posts or random stuff like that, a tweet or whatever. And Twitter was popular at that time. So a tweet popped up and it said, it was in Arabic, that I'm bringing in, I'm introducing a new sport to Kuwait. It's called CrossFit, and I'm giving a free class if anyone wants to come and get to know the sport. And that was my husband, Yusuf Al-Baghsami. And I was like, hell yes, I'm going to go. Sorry, can I say that? Yeah. And I was like,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I'm totally going to go. And I went, and we were, just a few girls, a handful of girls, maybe 4 or 5 girls. And we did the free class, loved it. And then I just became obsessed with CrossFit ever since then. I started competing the year after and fell in love with competition. I was not a competitive person, but just CrossFit changed me, I'm sure many people can relate to that. It made me discover my competitive side. It made me, love weightlifting. It introduced me to a whole new world. And eventually, I had my first daughter in 2014, and I took a break from competing, but then I came back, and then 2018, had my second daughter, stopped competing, and then I came back, and I just love the sport, so I didn't have a plan in my head where, if I have kids, I'm going to stop competing. I just, take the break that I need, rebuild myself, and then got back into it. It's hard with kids, but it can be done. And I think that's what I'm trying to share, because there's a lot of women who think their life ends once they get married or once they have kids. And it's so not like that. You're able to work towards anything you want, it just needs a little bit of hard work.
Yeah, some awareness on it, definitely. Because I think even finding out, like when you get pregnant, I think women freak out about the weight gain part of it, but then what kind of setbacks their fitness does have to take. And then afterwards, kind of all there's a lot going on while you're making a human. And then after you deliver that human, there's all kinds of things that the body is still going through. So
I think, that a big issue we have here is people don't look at the big picture. Mm-hmm. They want to see, the result tomorrow, or, they don't have any patience. They don't understand that it's much bigger than that. When I first got married, then we were deciding when to have kids. I was worried about, competing and I'm going to miss out and stuff like that. And then I'm like, life is going to keep going on. I don't want to postpone having kids any longer. Competition will always be there.
That's such a great attitude.
Yeah. So, and I'm so thankful that we took that step and everything turned out well. And, you just look at the big picture and you can get what you want. Might not be now, might not be in a year, maybe in 2 years. Just keep working towards it and you'll eventually get there.
So you were 2 years into CrossFit before you had your first child?
I was like a year and a half and then I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you change your fitness and your training from that, finding out that you got pregnant? Like how much of it changed? When I first
found out I was pregnant, obviously we were super excited about the pregnancy, but I was really nervous about my training. This was 2013. I'm assuming in Kuwait, because I didn't see anything, the idea of a woman working out pregnant.
Oh, horrible. Yeah.
There was non-existent. Now it's totally different. But in 2013, there was no information. There was no one, I can look up to, no one I can ask, from experience who's worked out pregnant. And then, family members would freak out, if you go over a road bump or whatever, slow down, let alone trying to work out. So I did a little bit of research online and I fell upon this blog called BirthFit. And this was before, they exploded and they have like online programs and stuff like that and seminars. But at the time it was just a blog. And, who created the blog, her name is Dr. Lindsay Matthews. I think her background, she's a chiropractor or something.
Yep. She's
worked with Lindsay Valenzuela and a bunch of other games athletes. When I first found out we're pregnant, we had already planned a trip to the States. So I was like, I'm definitely going to visit her.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I emailed her and I set up an appointment with her and visited her gym in LA. And I met up with her, and she was awesome. She has like this positive energy, and she was so supportive. And, you know, she made me feel empowered, you know, that, you know, I'm able to do anything I want with just, you know, specific guidelines and stuff like that. And, I don't even think she charged me anything for the consultation. And then she told me, you know, you can talk to me anytime you want. So I was emailing her back and forth, which was awesome. So, I really appreciate her for that. And that basically gave me the confidence to continue training normally in the beginning. Because in, you know, the first trimester, you can usually do most of the same movements. The only thing that might affect is, you know, feeling nauseous or fatigue, or I used to feel sleepy a lot.
Low energy.
Yeah, low energy. But mostly you can exercise the same way you've been exercising. And the idea of, you know, having a miscarriage, that's unrelated to exercise. That's just, you know, it could be for any other reason or whatever, but exercise most likely will not cause a miscarriage.
They say it's very important to keep up with the same level
Exactly.
you know, of what you were doing before any kind of drastic change in your daily routine. Is something likely.
And then I found myself every time where I would do a workout, I'd feel more energized. You know, it'll help me feel better about myself, and, you know, the nausea would decrease and stuff like that. And then, you know, through the second trimester and third trimester, obviously I had to change my training a little. I cut back on the days and the volume and intensity and all of that. Towards the end, I was still nervous throughout, you know, because the only person I could talk to was Dr. Lindsay. And I would email her every once in a while. But other than that, there was no guidance. There was no support. People were freaking out. And
how supportive was your doctor?
I just told her I exercise. Okay. I didn't say what it was. Yeah. You know? You can't. Yeah, you can't say CrossFit. CrossFit has such a bad rep. But, you know, as long as she sees that my body's healthy, the baby's healthy, you know, my weight gain is normal and all of that, like, there's no concern. Right. There's no need to, you know, to go into too much detail of exactly what I'm doing, as long as she sees everything's moving smoothly. Unless there's complications, then it's totally different, you know? But my doctor was totally okay with it. And she knows that, you know, my husband owns a gym and I'm a coach and all of that. But she doesn't know the details. Yeah. And that's because, you know, I trusted my body. I trusted myself. I set my ego aside, you know, if you can say that, when I was pregnant. So it's not as if I was, you know, I needed someone to hold me back in my training. I was smart enough to know when to cut back and keep it safe.
And that's something that's so important that I think people need to understand, is that you really can be your greatest coach and your greatest doctor just by, you know, setting that ego aside and listening to your limits and listening to your body.
What about
totally
towards
agree.
the end of the pregnancy? I mean, how did that go? Because I know like that's when you're supposed to like take the load off and you know, just chill out for a little while. I mean, that was Haya's case, my wife. So like, how was it towards the end of the pregnancy, and how did it affect your training towards the end? At
the time when I was pregnant, I worked my day job in the museum, and I was coaching evenings. And I was getting really heavy, so it was just a lot of stress on my body. In the museum, I was on my feet all day, and then coaching in the evenings, I was on my feet all day, so my feet got swollen and stuff like that. So towards the end, I cut back a lot, and I just like stuck to yoga and at-home exercises and stuff like that. My second pregnancy was different, totally different. But yeah, with my first pregnancy, the last few months, I cut back on anything related to CrossFit or lifting weights or any of that. Mostly same thing, no support, no guidance, and I was nervous, and then the working the two jobs thing also got to me. With my second pregnancy, I was going into it much more confident. It was 4 years later. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had set a plan. And alhamdulillah, I was able to work out till my last week of pregnancy, and she stayed in there till 41 weeks.
That's amazing.
And with my first Oh, I forgot what I wanted to say. I slipped my mind.
It's all right. It happens. It happens. It definitely happens.
I'm wondering now if Lindsay might be one of the ones who created. There was a CrossFit workout and it's called the Inducer.
Oh yeah,
and it was one because it had put a woman like into labor, like she was doing CrossFit up until the end. So I remember a couple of girls that I trained with back home, pregnancy, and they were like getting to the end, and they were like, "I want that workout. I want to deliver." And they're kind of getting to the end of it. But yeah, you absolutely can stay active until the end. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? Like, just out of curiosity, where does it come? The drive.
I just love the sport. You know, I mean, I get days where I'm not motivated and I'm feeling super lazy and stuff like that. And if it's something I can push through, I'll put a workout in. You know, I'll just get myself up off the couch and do something. But if I'm really not feeling it, I just won't. It's fine. You know, I mean, one or 2 days is not going to affect my fitness if I don't work out. But the first time, I remembered what I wanted to say. The first time around, if it wasn't a CrossFit workout when I was pregnant, it would upset me, you know, because there was nothing locally or in our area about pregnant women exercising, but CrossFit was posting all these pregnant women exercising. And I was like, how are they doing that? And I can barely, you know, lift an empty barbell because I'm feeling exhausted and nauseous or whatever. So that used to get to me a lot. Like, I want to do CrossFit while I'm pregnant. My second pregnancy, I understood that it's all about staying active, whether that's CrossFit, whether it's some form of bodybuilding or just, you know, body weight exercise or whatever. So that helped me stay more consistent with my exercise with my second pregnancy. But in terms of staying motivated, it's just I try to remind myself how I'll feel after. You know, you always feel great after a workout. You always feel more energized. So I try to keep that in mind. But it's not easy. I struggle still every day, unless, you know, I'll watch a video or listen to a song that gets me pumped up or whatever. But it's hard. That's why, you know, a lot of people struggle to stay motivated to work out every day.
That's one of the myths that we've talked about before, is that, you know, that you're always motivated to do it, especially, you know, an expert or someone sees you, you know, you competition, you have kids, and they just must assume like she's just always motivated.
Yeah, it's not that way. Yeah.
Taking the action is what brings about that motivation.
Yeah.
How much of like movement wise or mechanics wise, like how much of a difference was it like after you had delivered then going back and like doing the movements? Because like when you're obviously growing from the middle, your patterns and things have to change quite a bit. So how was that process of kind of figuring things out again? It's like
I basically have to learn how to squat all over again. I mean, because when you're pregnant and you're doing squats, your belly's getting bigger, it's getting heavier. So you might have to change your stance, you know, make your feet a little wider. And then you feel the weight is coming forward. So, you know, you have to change the position of your squat. And then after birth, you're just so used to that. So you have to relearn how to squat again. And it's just taking it step by step. I mean, once I figured out how to squat, then I had to figure out how to overhead squat. Because then, okay, now there's a barbell over my head, and it's like I need to find that balance again.
Yeah. To be honest, that might be one of the things that helps going back into that competition, is because you're forced to go back to that beginner mindset again, and you really have to pay attention to get skill. And that's the thing with, you know, CrossFit, even with myself, I'd say it was like you always want to skip ahead and skip ahead and skip ahead. But when you're forced to go back to that, it takes an injury usually for most people, you know, to go back to the beginning and really focus on that beginner mindset. So that's like probably the mental advantage that you have on the field against other people.
And you can't rush it, and you have to, you know, appreciate the stage and use it to your advantage, where, you know, you're going to get stronger with the basics, or, you know, if you had, you know, any movement issues before, now where you're forced to take a step back, now is the time to work on it, you know, whether that's pregnancy or injuries or whatever, instead of, you know, looking at it in a negative light, you know. Yeah.
Do you see any differences in the kids as far as like the way you trained in the first pregnancy and the second pregnancy, like as far as like the birth process went, or maybe even like, I don't know, health and activity of between the two, like at the stages that they're at?
I'm not sure, honestly, if it has to do with me being active or just, you know, the second one having a sibling with her.
Right.
So I can't pinpoint that. Yeah. But when it comes to childbirth, childbirth is unpredictable, you know. What you can plan as much as you want for it, but you never know what's going to happen. My first pregnancy, I signed up for all the yoga classes, all the breathing techniques, you know, preparing yourself for labor and all that stuff. And I was determined to have a natural labor. And then, do you want me to go into my birth story?
Yeah,
just real quick.
Go for it.
And I was, I think, 38 weeks and my water broke at home. I was excited. I was excited because I had like mentally and emotionally prepared for labor, and I felt, I felt strong, and, I was confident because of CrossFit and all of that. Like, I'm ready for labor. And I went to the hospital and there were no contractions and, not dilated, nothing, just my water broke. And, at the time I didn't understand the idea of how much hospitals, how the medical intervention can affect stuff, can affect the labor, the baby and stuff like that. Now I have more knowledge about that. But at the time, they told me I had to stay in the hospital. And then the next morning, still no contractions and not dilated. So then they induced me. And then the contraction started slowly, still not dilated. And then... I forgot what the medical term is for, but I was induced again, but sorry. No. And then the contractions started to get really strong, but still not dilating at all. And I think I spent two nights in the hospital, and then my doctor was like, it's not safe that, the water broke and you're not dilating and just the baby needs to come out. I was devastated. I didn't understand much about what was going on. And in my mind, I had, I was so convinced I was going to have a natural birth. I was convinced everything was going to go as planned. And that's all I read. I never read about any complications that could happen in birth and what your options are. I never read about a C-section because I was like, no way that's going to happen to me. Right. That's not something I'm interested in or an option I'm going to give myself, And when she told me I had to do a C-section, I never had surgery before in my life. And I was like, oh my God, my athletic career is over. They're going to cut through my stomach and, through layers of muscle and tissue. And how am I going to come back from that? What's the recovery process? And I was devastated. I was freaking out. But my family, they were exhausted from seeing me exhausted those 2 days. So they're just like, let's just get it over with. Yeah. And I remember when I first woke up after the surgery, I didn't even want to see my daughter. I was like so upset about the surgery. Like, I'm still upset about it, honestly. Yeah. It's because, I was really excited about birth. It's something, I know a lot of people are scared about it, but it's something I had looked forward to, like something in life I wanted to experience, Sure. And
I think there's some toys in the little box right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That box right there, that's DJ's toolbox. So just so everyone knows.
Oh, these are toys.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're toys. Yeah, they're toys. DJ
That's
was fixing
awesome.
the table this morning, so.
That's adorable, little toolbox.
Hey, this is why you're like the fittest mom of Kuwait. Awesome. Because you have your child sitting on your lap in a podcast. This is like as real as it gets.
They go everywhere with me.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
and I mean, a lot of parents need to follow suit, especially here in Kuwait. I mean, seeing how you train and how, the young one, you posted a picture of her. She was, in the room training with you. And a lot of parents, they leave their kids at home and they forget about that part.
Yeah.
That what our children see, they'll imitate.
Yeah.
But sorry, you could go on with it.
No, that's okay.
You want more toys, I could grab some.
I think she's fine.
Knowing what you know now, I guess, about it, because, of course, you haven't researched anything at that point of it. Do you think a C-section was what needed to happen in order for
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there, and people, some people say that if your water breaks that it's dangerous for the baby. Other people say it's fine, you can go a few days.
Yeah.
But being medically induced is something that most probably caused more issue than helped.
Okay.
So that's something that I don't think was a good idea, but I guess it's the decision of my doctor in the end.
Yeah, you take the information that you have and make a choice at that time.
Yeah.
So after you had delivered, you were mentioning you kind of felt detached.
Yeah, I was so upset. But alhamdulillah, as soon as that happened, I was like, I was still in the hospital bed, and I took out my phone and I started Googling recovery from C-section, you know, and I was desperate to find, I specifically wanted to find stories of athletes and not just anyone, you know, like athletes who recovered from C-sections or, you know, mom athletes returning to fitness after having a baby. And there wasn't much out there, you know. Another thing that motivates me is being able to relate to someone else, you know. So I was desperate to find that. And I couldn't. So I had to basically, you know, figure it out for myself the first time around. I did a lot of reading about C-section, how to recover and stuff like that. And, you know, the second time around, things were different, even labor. But I was more not relaxed, but I accepted the second C-section because I knew what the process will be after, you know. You know, even at the time, there wasn't any information about what's called diastasis recti, which is ab separation. And I was basically at home, and I think I was just like sitting up from bed, and I saw like my stomach do something weird. It was like, you know, it looked like basically something was trying to come out of my stomach, you know, like there was a dome in the center of your stomach, or they call it coning. And that's basically, you know, because of ab separation that happens naturally during pregnancy. And, you know, I Googled that as well because, you know, your doctor doesn't talk to you about this stuff. All they do is they'll check you after surgery. They'll just check the scar, remove the bandage, and then that's it. They don't tell you anything about how to recover after childbirth, any effects the surgery might have on you. You know, there are some C-sections moms 5 years later that still complain of numbness or pain where the C-section scar is.
That was one of the things that was kind of shocking to me when I came into the fitness industry out here with the women is some coming in and, you know, I was asking, you know, do you have injuries and stuff first? And a lot would say C-sections. And it's like, oh, well, how recent? And it would be like years past. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, how can that still be having such a big effect? So that's something that I've had to kind of study up on a little bit more because there's just not a lot out there. What do you do for that core after going through something like that?
I mean, every woman who goes through pregnancy has to rebuild her core after because that ab separation is a natural part of pregnancy. It's just your body's making space for the baby. But when it comes to C-section, they're literally cutting through your ab muscles. And, you know, cutting through your uterus. So some women still feel a little bit of pain years later. And some women, I mean, I have one of our members at the gym who complains from numbness and pain in her scar, and her C-section was like 3 years ago. Yeah. And there is a solution for that. It's just they don't know. They think it's normal. That's just something I have to live with because I had the C-section. But there is a solution for all of it.
So what is the solution?
When it comes to the C-section scar, there's a scar tissue massage, you know, or you go to a physical therapist basically, and what's it called? They have like a metal, and they basically scrape the area. What's that called? I'm not sure what it's called.
ART therapy. I know it's called ART because I've had active release. Yeah.
It's
scraping. I don't know if the ART is the scraping, but
where it's like they have like this metal piece and they basically massage the area. It's basically breaking up tissue.
Right.
That, you know, because when everything gets healed back, if, you know, I don't know the medical terms for it, but there could be adhesions, and you have to break that up. You have to break up the tissue and, you know, have more blood circulation where the scar is. That could all affect, you know, the way you function, you know, the way you move. You
totally.
can have
your nervous
tightness.
System is within that.
You can have tightness in your back and your hips or whatever, all because of that scar.
Yeah.
So I recommended that she go see a physical therapist. I mean, she would freak out if someone would just touch the scar, and this is years later.
Right. Trauma.
Yeah.
So, do you specialize now in coaching women that have gone through any type of, you know, delivery or specifically with C-section? It's called Graston technique.
Yeah,
Graston
Graston.
technique,
Yes,
all right.
Graston. Yeah.
Thanks, Mahdi.
Yeah.
I'm the Meg today. I got my laptop.
I know I didn't bring it today because you always give me shit about.
She always cheats. She always has like.
I never
her
cheat. I
notes.
have them
It's
there,
not
but
cheating.
I
It's
never
just, you
look
know,
at them
it's-
anyway. I
you
just
wanna-
like
She's,
it's like
always
safety
prepared.
precaution in case I lose my words. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's totally
I'm
fine.
gonna hide the laptop today. You know what? It's gonna be between me and Liam today. We're gonna sound like the smart.
I need it.
I was like, real quick, from like a male perspective, do you guys have any questions, or maybe like from training females? Have you guys ever encountered anything like this, or from personal experience with?
I mean, what I was going to ask, I'd be really interested to know, like, how your friends and family were around you training when you were pregnant, and kind of whether, like, I mean, no, you may not want to say whether they were not supportive or not, but kind of like how supportive and kind of any really positive things that they could do, because you might have listeners who are like kind of maybe mums of daughters who are pregnant and things like that, and how can they kind of support their family members who are trying to stay active?
You know, my family freaked out, you know, they were so not supportive of the idea. And then, you know, I tried to share as much information as I can because I want them to be comfortable with the idea. They don't need to know exactly what I'm doing, but just to let them know that I'm being safe. And eventually, you know, they stopped asking. But every once in a while, they'll tell me just be careful and stuff like that. They didn't like the idea, but they trusted that I knew what I was doing. And then, you know, to this day, for everything I do, my husband is my biggest supporter. So I'm so thankful for that. You know, he supported me all the way through. And I think when you have at least that one person that really supports you, it helps a lot. You know, if no one is supporting the idea of you exercising during pregnancy, it's so easy to just stop, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's important, you know, whether it's your coach or a friend or your husband or whoever, you know, someone who supports you and, you know, gives you that little push, it'll help you feel a little more confident to continue exercising during pregnancy.
That's what's so great about this little community that you've built now of like support for that.
Yeah.
In fact, because you talk about like, you know, miscarriages not being talked about, you know, very enough. And it's actually way more common than what people think. And then what are the actual causes of that? It's not, you know, these types of things as much as people think it is. And then now the whole C-section, there's that. Yeah, there's all kinds of emotional trauma that goes along with that.
There's so much. There's so much so much that women are going through, and it's either taboo or they're embarrassed to talk about it. Especially, you know, if they have like a male coach.
It's important to know they're not alone.
Yeah. There's so much they don't want to talk about. Like I said, the girl that's in our gym, she assumed it was normal, so she never complained about the weird feeling she was having in her scar. So it's just it's a lack of information, you know? Yeah.
So you've got, so are you like BirthFit certified and things now?
No, I wanted to be BirthFit certified, but their certification, you have to be in the States to take it.
Okay.
I took a couple of online certifications from small companies, but at the time it was just information for myself.
Right.
I didn't intend to coach anyone pregnant or postpartum at the time. But throughout the years before I had my second daughter, I became really passionate about it. And then after having my daughter, I was just, you know, sure that this is a path I wanted to take. So I did get certified as a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism coach. And that's a certification created by Brianna Battles. She coached Lindsay Valenzuela, Miranda Oldroyd, and a couple of other games athletes through their pregnancies.
Amazing.
And I love her point of view. It's not like a lot of other coaches who do prenatal and postnatal training. She's very real, and she's had her own issues with C-section and ab separation and trying to return to fitness and stuff like that. She's like a little dinosaur. But anyway, she just keeps it real, you know, and it's not, and her thing is all about returning to fitness, being able to perform well, being able to live your life, and having considerations for everyone depending on their interests in fitness, depending on their pregnancy, their postpartum journey, and all of that. And it's not just about, you know, prenatal and postnatal training to get your body back and all that stuff. Right. You know, it's much more than that.
More functional than that, for sure.
Yeah.
So I just had a quick question about like kind of your nutrition as well during pregnancy. Like maybe you could say a few words about how maybe did you have a good idea in your first pregnancy of how you wanted to eat, and obviously with fitness based in mind as well. Because obviously a lot of people kind of feel like, or they get the advice that they're eating for two, so they should be eating more, but then they're trying to train as well, so they're kind of trying to eat for performance as well. So how did that kind of change from your first to your second pregnancy?
Honestly, the goal should be that you shouldn't change your diet. You know, if you want, clean it up even more. And in terms of increasing your calories, your first trimester, which is the first 3 months, you can be eating the same amount of calories as you usually do. And then within the second trimester, third trimester, you add a couple of hundred calories. But it's not literally eating for two. And I think that's what I did. I mean, obviously there's going to be cravings, you know. With my pregnancies, I have a sweet tooth, but when I was pregnant, I wanted, you know, salty food like chips and French fries and stuff like that. And, you know, I allowed myself to you know, to satisfy the craving, you know, but I kept it healthy as much as I can. And then it becomes easier to get back, you know, to your regular diet after having a baby, because, you know, if you just eat whatever you want for 9 months, it's really hard to get back into the zone of going back to eating healthy and, you know, having a consistent diet towards your goals.
I think the postpartum period is the most important for the nutrition. I think women, when they find out they're pregnant, I think they already kind of automatically start making better choices because now there's someone else in the picture, you know, kind of a thing. And so I think they aim to do a little bit better during the pregnancy. And so it's important to kind of keep that mindset, you know, after the pregnancy is gone. It's like you're so aware of what you're putting in your body and how you're moving your body and things when you are pregnant, but then afterwards, you know, kind of carrying that same mentality. So I think the postpartum, you know, going on with like the hormones getting back into play and just the, you know, emotional side, I think nutrition can play a big part in that.
Moms go through so much, and it's when they get pregnant in the hospital and at home, it's all about the baby. You know, it's always all about the baby. When it's in her belly and when the baby's out, it's always the attention is on the baby. But the mom is going through so much, whether that's pregnancy and especially in postpartum period. Believe it or not, when someone is pregnant and they're exercising, and she's, you know, she's used to working out before pregnancy and during pregnancy, she's going to be feeling strong. In that postpartum period, they'll be shocked to feel that their body is much weaker than when they were pregnant. Your body just went through so much, you know, you brought a human into this world. So a lot of attention needs to be put into moms after giving birth. It's hard mentally, emotionally, physically. Like you said, you know, so many hormone changes, and it's hard. It's hard when you first have a baby. So moms need a little bit more care and attention. Speaking
of that, I mean, what's your so tell us a little bit about your new program.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I you know, I see it on Instagram all the time, and it's really exciting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your new program?
Okay. So I started this thing called MomFit, and right now the program I'm offering is a postpartum program. I want to eventually build up the platform of MomFit and have, you know, more pregnancy workouts, you know, specific, for example, maybe, you know, just focus on strengthening your core or whatever. So I want to grow that platform a little bit more. But right now I just have a postpartum program. And this is basically, it's a program that can be started a couple of weeks after giving birth. It's not a workout program. It's not, you know, it's not training. There's no intensity. It's all about,
sorry, I saw that small piece.
Yeah. It's all about rebuilding your body, after pregnancy. The first couple of exercises that are in the program, you're basically lying on your back and you're not doing anything. So it's helping women get back into fitness, you know, after having childbirth. And that transition is so important. People always skip it. You know, they get so in a rush to get back to working out. And it's not even just about, you know, for fun. It's like, I want to get my body back. Yeah. I want to lose weight. Yeah. How to, you know, this pregnancy ruined my body. And it's such a negative, such a negative image. And, Sorry. What's wrong?
Like nothing.
I think she's like, yeah, I've been good for 30 minutes. So like, yeah. Yeah. لا ما شاء الله.
I lost track of what I was saying.
The first couple of weeks is just like
the first couple of weeks
exercises, but it's about
it's
just repairing yourself and recovery. Not
yeah,
so much
yeah,
of like
exactly.
punishment.
Yeah, recovering your body, rebuilding, learning how to breathe, learning how to use your core muscles again. Because when you're pregnant, you lose that mind-muscle connection with your abs, with your core. So you have to learn how to reconnect with your muscles again. And
breathing, like you talked about.
Yeah,
that.
it's
like,
a lot of
once we learn how to
breathing.
do it, we don't ever think about it again,
Yeah.
and that plays a big part in that core.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's not just about relearning how to breathe. For a lot of women, especially in Kuwait, it's learning how to breathe.
Right.
I mean, even before you get pregnant, there's a lot of women who are, going into CrossFit and weightlifting, and it's something totally new for them, and they don't know how to breathe, and unfortunately, some coaches don't teach them how to breathe when lifting weights, and especially during pregnancy and after pregnancy, that can have, negative effects to a woman's body if you're not breathing properly, especially if you're like holding your breath, and that's a lot of pressure on your pelvic floor, on your core when you're exercising.
Dangerous for anybody going into that second round, third round of anything. If you don't know how to channel that breath downward, then
so the program starts out with that, like a lot of breathing and then a lot of gentle movement, and then it slowly builds on that. And I think that's the last couple of weeks where you start to lift a super light weight, and that's just slowly getting you back into the track of exercising.
The program is how long in total?
It's 4 to 8 weeks. It depends. Everyone's different, whether you had a vaginal birth or a C-section, whether you were in fitness before or not, how well your body recovered, whether you had complications during or after pregnancy. It all depends. Everyone has a different case. But once someone signs up on that program, then they have direct contact with me through WhatsApp. They can talk to me anytime while they're doing the program. I had a couple of girls where one of the exercises, they wanted it to be scaled even more. So I'll film myself doing an even scaled version of it and send that right over. So it's just communicating with the girls as they go through the program. And I'm happy to say that I have several girls who finished it and they felt great and they returned to fitness. And it's been going good, slowly growing.
You said for that mind-muscle connection and just that emotional confidence afterwards. Yes. It's so important.
Yes.
So is this an online program? So everything is done online, kind of self-paced. They get all the information and they just kind of walk themselves through it, but they have you for support during it?
Yes.
And they can sign up anytime, or is it like certain timings?
No, they can sign up anytime.
So how can they sign up? Just so we get that out there, how can they sign up for it, and how can they get in touch with you if they want to get into it? Is it just through your Instagram page? Or?
Yeah. The easiest way to get in touch with me is through my Instagram page, but I'm working on having the program to be able to be accessed online. But right now, what we're doing is they'll have to contact the gym, sign up for the program, and then I'll get their contact information, send them the PDF document, and then we go on from there. But once they sign up for the program, if they're in Kuwait, I require them to come to me at the gym, so I can assess them, and we have a quick consultation and go through the program, so then they can be more comfortable doing it at home.
Okay. And for anyone abroad, do you do
We'll do like a video,
session?
Like an online video.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing work. I swear, I wish we had more people in the community like you.
Thank you.
It's so, and I hate saying this, inspiring, because there's a debate over inspiration and motivation. I said no one inspires me, but I like, seriously, it's very inspiring to a lot of people in our community. I wish ان يعني باقي المجتمع يسمعون هالكلام and they just the rest of the society. I'm throwing in some Arabic here.
Subtitles.
Just leave it to me to just go totally the other way. But no, I mean
we're fired.
We're gonna switch this to Arabic. That's it.
It's something that's been missing. It's not provided, and it's something that I couldn't find, something that I felt like I needed. So I feel, I'm so happy to be able to provide that for other women. But, it's the women who have signed up for the program, they're very happy with it. But my main focus right now is actually convincing people that this is really important to do.
For everybody.
Yeah, for everyone before going into fitness, you know. I still have some women who, I have some women who recently gave birth and they'll hear about my program, but they assume it's a workout program. And, you know, they come to me, I want to lose weight, this and that. And I had a baby a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, you know, with all due respect, I'm sorry, but I can't have you in my CrossFit class unless, you know, you do some form of rehab, rebuilding phase. You can do that on your own, or this is the program that I'm offering. Some of them are more than happy to do it, and some of them don't want to. But, you know, I can't have you in my CrossFit class if your body is not, you just had a baby, you know, you're not ready for that type of intensity. So that's a requirement that I have, you know, for the girls that come to my class. It's the first few weeks after giving birth, you know, the mom's hormones are all over the place, and then your body basically looks deflated, you know, and you're like, what is going on? This is not, you know, you probably like the way you look pregnant, and now, you know, now the baby's out, and what do I do with this body that I have? Your emotional,
with all that attention going on.
Yeah, and all that tension's on the baby. And then, you know, some women get so much pressure from their family, you know, like their aunts or mothers or whatever. Now you gain so much weight pregnant. Come on, you know, like lose weight, or, you know, try to get your body back or whatever. Or some women get pressure from their own husbands, you know. So it's really sad. It's such a sensitive, you know, couple of months after pregnancy, and for the mom, you know, she's not getting any sleep. You know, your emotions are all over the place. And
I guess it's just like having a plan, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like, so if the guys,
you have to have a plan.
Like, so if you know that like you want to get back into fitness, it's not kind of going like, obviously in this region we have a lot people want it like straight away.
Yeah.
So they think, okay, yeah, I'll start after.
Yeah.
Like after I've given birth.
Yeah,
but actually, if you're thinking about it before, starting to maybe like clean up your diet and everything, and then coming to you for the MomFit program before, and understanding that it's patience that they need.
It is.
And they're only going to be able to start a couple of weeks after when they've recovered.
Yeah.
And then they can start to do the breathing and start to do like lifting their legs.
Exactly.
Literally small things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think if people understand that it's going to take some time, then they can kind of come to terms with that rather than kind of coming to you and just expecting that like quick fix. Okay, make me slim again.
It's going to happen a lot quicker though if they actually start at the basics.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
versus
And it's
going and breaking yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to go to 100% straight
Yeah,
away.
and it's you know, I don't want to put in, you know, make it sound scary, you know, that after pregnancy you should not, you know, go into weightlifting or CrossFit or some form of intense exercise right away because, you know, you could hurt yourself or whatever. But it's reality. I mean, okay, you might rush into fitness, you're feeling good, you lose all the weight, everyone's proud of you, you're proud of yourself. But then a few months later, a couple years later, you might start having issues with your body, you know, either back pain because you didn't rebuild your core properly, or you might have, you know, other symptoms of a postpartum like, leaking, you know, you can't control yourself when you're jumping, you know, doing jump ropes or box jumps or whatever. You might have, you know, pain in your hips, pain in your pelvic floor. Some women, I got contacted by a girl, she's from the UAE, and she had given birth a year ago, and then she went back into CrossFit right away. You know, she progressed slowly, but, you know, she didn't know how to breathe, and she rushed through her weights and stuff like that. And a year later, she got prolapse. Prolapse is basically where your uterus falls out of its place.
Right.
And, you know, it's serious. And people don't realize that. And, you know, even if your body is totally fine and you don't have any of those symptoms and you never go through something like that, why take the risk? Right. You know, the few weeks of you rebuilding your body and taking that one step back and taking the time to get back into fitness, you're going to benefit from it so much, you know. And some of the exercises that are in my program could benefit anyone, you know. There's some, you know, the non-traditional core exercises, you know, not sit-ups and stuff like that. Like, say, for example, like a dead bug, you know. Mm-hmm. I give that to my girls sometimes in my class, and they all struggle with it. And, you know, not all of them had babies,
I
you
did
know?
that in my calisthenics class the other day, and it was all men.
Yeah.
Everyone struggled with it.
Yeah, and it's like,
but
so
that's the confusion of core, is that we think it's sit-ups
exactly
is only affecting our core, but your core is your diaphragm, it's your breathing muscle, it's the sides, it's the front, it's the back. There's actually, your back is actually involved in your core.
Exactly.
People forget all about that.
Yeah.
But it's the way we move.
Yeah, exactly.
All of your movement comes from that
exactly.
middle.
So, I mean, taking that step back, you'll benefit so much from it. And, you know, you're not going to regret it. You'll be able to go into fitness again feeling confident. You know, that's how I personally felt. You know, I wasn't nervous that, you know, I'm rushing into it. I was confident lifting my weights again. Alhamdulillah, knock on wood, you know, no symptoms or anything, you know. So it works. And you just have to be patient, take it seriously, do it step by step. And you know, you don't have to regret it later if something happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love what you're doing.
This
It's
is
amazing.
awesome.
I think
Thank
my
you.
clients that I have that are pre and post,
Yeah.
I'll definitely send them your way. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to also, you know, trying to build a stronger relationship also with, you know, physical therapists or women health doctors in Kuwait. We don't have, you know, we don't have specific pelvic floor therapists in Kuwait, which is a woman who just gave birth should visit, because, you know, her doctor is not going to check her pelvic floor or her core, ab separation, and all of that. So you have a baby, okay, yalla bye. Seriously. But you know, in the States, you know, a lot of women will go visit a pelvic floor therapist after giving birth, you know, just to check that your body is functioning normally after birth. And here we don't have that. So there's a couple of women's health doctors in Kuwait that I've contacted, and I'm trying to build a relationship with them so that, you know, if someone comes to me and they just had a baby like a week ago, I'll let her know, you know, go visit this doctor, there's physical therapist first, and then we can take it from there just to check, you know, if everything is good. And then they would also refer their clients who are done, you know, with their regular checkup, and they want to get back to fitness, and she'll like refer them to me to do the MomFit program. So it's just, you know, building a relationship and,
that's
you know,
necessary.
building a tribe, for women who just gave birth.
All those resources and connections that you've mentioned, I mean, we'll make sure we tag those for people here. And it was just...
And it would be amazing if you come back on the show later on and talk about your progress, you know, and if there are any follow-ups to the program that you're offering. I mean, it's just... This is what we want. We want to bring the experts that have the legitimate information to the table.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
An experience.
Experience, And that's the most important thing. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Like, it was a pleasure. And seriously, like, anytime you have anything new, just send it over to us, and you know, we'll do our best to get it out there.
Great.
And thanks.
Well, yeah, I think we should try and get the show notes, and we'll make sure that people have some resources to be able to go straight to, so that people can find out what some good information for you.
Yeah, great.
All right, great.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram at The Project Kuwait. Thank you, and join us next time.